Om Sahana Vavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Saha Viryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Satchidananda Rupaya Vishwotpatyadihetave Tapatraya Vinashaya Shri Krishnaya Vayam Namaha. समस्त जन कल्याणे निरतं करुणामयं नमामि चिन्मयं देवं सद्गुरुं ब्रह्म विद्वरम्. Hari Om, salutations to all. So we are on Canto 4 and Discourse 21 today. We saw that Raja Prthu was blessed by Bhagwan when Bhagwan Mahavishnu appeared in the Yajna along with Indra, and also Bhagwan asked Raja Prthu to forgive Indra, which Raja Prthu did. And he also, Raja Prthu also asked Bhagwan that when he was told that ask any boon you seek, he said, I don't want any specific boon, but if at all you want to bless me, then please bless me with 1,000 years to keep listening to your glories again and again. And then we saw that Bhagwan goes back to his abode, and that's where this 20th chapter concludes. Raja Prthu also gave appropriate gifts to all the different beings who had come there, the Devatas, Yaksha, Gandharva, Kinnara, all of them, and they all departed. Now Raja Prthu, though he did not necessarily complete that 100th Yajna as such, but his Yajna was successful because Bhagwan himself came there, gave him darshan, gave him the boon. So when he returns to the city, there's an elaborate description of how the whole city was decorated with flowers and arches of gold and fragrant incense, and streets and quadrangles are sprinkled with water, perfumed with sandal and aloe, adorned with flowers, unbroken rice, fruits, young blades of barley, parched grains of rice and lights. So the whole description is given. And this people of the city also are very delighted. And so they have also decorated themselves, and they are wearing some polished earrings, and they all come forward to do arti, greet him with the lights, and presents as well as all kinds of auspicious substances like curds, etc., which they have collected. The bards and the minstrels, etc., they are singing the glory of Raja Prthu. Conches are being blown, kettle drums are being blown, Vedic hymns are being chanted. Now, the purpose also to understand this is Raja Prthu was ruling with Dharma, so his Praja was also very happy. He has already done 99 yajnas. He himself is avatar of Bhagwan. He ensured that Mother Earth starts once again bringing out the bounty from her resources which he had withheld. So Praja was taken care of. So if the Praja is taken care of, they love the Raja. And when the Raja rules very well with Dharma, the Raja does his duty also, and Praja also is happy. He is also happy with the Praja. So that way, mutually, there is harmony. Now, this Prthu Raja, it is said here that doing many noble deeds, the great monarch of unimpeachable conduct and most adored ruler of over the terrestrial globe, after establishing an extensive renown, ascended to the highest abode, meaning eventually through his dharma of a king, he uncompromisingly followed that dharma. He purifies his mind and he also attains mukti finally. That we will see, it will come ahead. The point to understand is that the duties that one does need not be thought of as taking us away from Bhagavan, away from spirituality, that we are bound in samsara. When they are done genuinely, selflessly, and they are dedicated to Bhagavan, they will purify the mind and make us realize the truth. So now Sutaji, remember Sutaji is addressing the rishis in Naimisharanya. That's how Bhagavatam began. So Sutaji is narrating to the rishis in Naimisharanya, and Maitreya Rishi is narrating to Vidurji. So Sutaji is reporting that conversation between Maitreya Rishi and Vidurji. So that Sutaji, he is telling to Shaunak Rishi that Vidurji hails Maitreya Rishi, glorifies him, as the story of Raja Prthu was narrated by Maitreya Rishi. And Vidurji also asked him that what did that Raja Prthu do further? And he who was installed as the king by the Brahmanas, what did he do? What knowing man would not hear of the glory of King Prthu? For it is the remains of whatever was achieved by his valor that all the so-called rulers of the earth, as well as the different worlds and their guardian deities, enjoy to their heart content even to this day. So whatever he is experiencing, or whatever all the other rulers are experiencing to this day, is as though a remnant of what Raja Prthu achieved. So he says, please tell me. Now, Maitreya Rishi, so he continues. So here we see in the 11th verse, he says that Ganga Yamuna Yor Nadyoho Antarakshetramavasan Arabdhaneva Bubhuje Bhogan Punya Jihasaya. So he was ruling over the stretch of land between Ganga and Yamuna. And he enjoyed only such pleasures as has been earned by his past deeds, and also only with the view of exhausting the merits, not with a view of hankering up after more, but just to exhaust the merits. Now somebody says, but he's supposed to be an avatar of Bhagavan, how does he have past deeds? That is true. He may not have past deeds as us, as the jivas, but this is an instruction to us through that Raja. Bhagavan Prthu, Raja Prthu is an avatar of Bhagavan Vishnu, it was said earlier. Avatars do not have a baggage. They may return, they may manifest on the earth taking up some causes. Like we see Bhagavan Ram's avatar happens because Ravan has to be killed, because Naradji's curse had to be made true, because tapasya of Manu and Shatrupa was fulfilled and they were blessed by Bhagavan that I will be born as your son. So those are incidental causes. They are not karma that bind Bhagavan. So here when it is said, the purpose is not to identify whether it is, what is Prthu Raja's past karma, what was his past life. He is not a jiva, he is an avatar of Bhagavan. Oh, then why this is said here? This is said for us. That how should we live? We should live doing our duties and understand that what prarabdha is there, it has already begun. That one cannot stop. but one can dedicate the actions to Bhagavan so that that existing karma will get exhausted, new karma will not arise. So that's the point here. Then he says that Maitreya Rishi says that his commands were respected everywhere and he held undisputed sway over all the 7 main divisions of the terrestrial globe, barring of course the Brahmanas and the immortal Lord. Now one incident is mentioned here that Ekadasin Mahasatra Diksha Tatra Divaukasam Samajo Brahmarshinaam cha Rajarshinaam cha Sattama. So he took up one resolve and he organized one yajna, and there were lots of beings who came to the heavenly beings, Brahmanas, royal sayers, sages, etc. Now everybody was given their due man, samman, respect, their asan, whatever the gifts and dan, etc. All that was done. Then the king, he stood up, and the whole description comes here of how glorious the king was. So he was tall, with long arms, fair complexions, eyes ready as lotus, shapely nose, lovely countenance, gentle in appearance, rounded shoulders, beautiful row of teeth, winsome smile, broad chest, bulky hips, belly shaped like a leaf of the holy fig tree, and charming with folds, what we call as packs right now. He had folds. Navel was deep, circular like an eddy, thighs were like gold pillars, feet were slightly elevated in front, hair was fine and curly, dark and sleek. The throat had 3 spiral lines like those of a conch shell. Now, here it is said, as the king stood up, he looked all around with the eyes which are full of love and soothed one's agony, and thrilling the whole assembly with delight, he addressed the gathering. So, what did he say? Now, this is the address of Prthu Raja to his subjects and whoever else has come there. Sabhya Shrunuta, this is 21st Shloka, Raja Uvacha. Sabhya Shrunuta Bhadram Vaha Sadhavo Ya Iha Gataha Satsu Jignasu Bhirdharmam Avedyam Swamanishitam. So, Sabhyaha, oh worthy subjects, all of you who are present here, Shrunuta, please listen. Bhadram te, Bhadram Vaha, may you be blessed with auspiciousness. All of you who have come here, sadhus have come here, jignasus also have come here. So, all of you who have come here, he says, Dharmam avedyam. Those who want to know Dharma, they must submit what their understanding of Dharma is to the wise and also listen from them. That is what it means. Swamanishitam. So when one goes to wise people, Brahmanas, devotees of the Lord, realized enlightened masters, one should know about Dharma from them. One can also discuss with them, one can present one's own views, but the secret of Dharma they know, and one should learn from them. Then he says that Aham dandadharo raja prajanamiha yojitaha rakshita vritti dasveshu setushu sthapita prithak. He says Aham dandadharo raja. I am the Raja who is holding the danda, the scepter. And he says here that as a king, so he says a few duties of the king he elaborates. So first he says that I have to punish the evil-doers. meaning Rakshita, I have to protect the Praja. Vrittidaha, I must ensure that I uh, create means of livelihood, generate employment, make the people live a good standard of life, standard of living, sorry. They must have a good standard of living. And uh, also that he must keep this praja within the bounds of dharma as mentioned in the scriptures. Rakshita vrittida sveshu setushu sthapita prithak tasya me tadanushthanad yanarhur brahmavadinah lokasyu kama sandoha yasya tushyati dishtadrik. So he says that these are my duties. I have to protect the people from any natural calamities, from enemies, etc. I have to generate means of livelihood so that they will have a good standard of living, they can earn well, they can take care of themselves. I must ensure that the Praja lives within the boundaries of Dharma, following the Shastra, and I must punish the evildoers. Very, very important. 4 points for a king. The duty of a king is this. Now, so many people think that why should we be told what we should do? Who is the government to decide what should be done, what should not be done? Obviously, private choices are private choices, but there are certain things which will affect the entire community, the country, and that's the duty of the king to ensure that the praja remains within the bounds of dharma, as well as the evildoers are punished. There is prosperity in the kingdom, generate employment for it. Those are the duties of the king. And he must ensure that the people are well protected. So, what does he say? That by discharging these functions, I as such hope to attain those realms which yield what one desires, and which, as the knowers of Vedas declare, are earned by him who wins the pleasure of God. See, he is avatar of Bhagavan Vishnu himself, but he says these are the duties that I hope to fulfill. And he, obviously, if he has not done any of these or all of these, why will the Praja revere him so much? The chapter begins with all that reverence, meaning he has done. And also that he is accountable. He is telling this in front of everybody that these are the duties of a king, so that the Praja also can question the king that, okay, you said about these 4, but have you done these 4? On this area you have not done, that area you have not done. They can even find that flaw, or they can even have that, complain. So this is one very nice thing to learn, that the king is also accountable. And he is accountable to the Praja, because Praja has put him there. And so he serves. And he says, these are my duties, and by doing this, now again I'm saying here that Raja Prthu does not need to go to heaven or to higher worlds or any such thing. It is all through this, the Upadesh is being given to the further generations of kings and leaders who come up. That's why he says that I hope to attain those realms which yield what one desires. The pure mind will attain what it desires, as well as it will attain the higher worlds after dropping this body. And so he says, I hope to attain those realms. And also through this, I hope to win the pleasure of God. So the duties are to be done, not just to please the Praja. Then to please the Praja, one can do anything. One can even go beyond Dharma for that. Everybody likes to eat, drink, be merry, then you can create that. Asuras do that. Even Asuras have kings. Devatas also have kings. Humans also have kings. But what does Raja Prthu say? The king's duty is to protect the Praja, to ensure that they are within the realm of Dharma, and to provide livelihood, etc. So all that when he has said, the king has to ensure that it does not, the king does not just play to the gallery, that whatever the masses want, one says, okay, do it, do it, do it. That is not the quality of a good king. What is dharma? What is righteousness? And for whose purpose am I doing this? The biggest purpose is I am here to serve Bhagwan. He put me here. I don't have to win the pleasure of people over pleasure of Bhagwan. If I am doing my duty, how will Bhagwan be pleased? Be uncompromising in the duty. So if one is doing that, then one will attain both well-being here, hereafter, as well as the pleasure of Bhagwan. So he says this. Then he says, very important point, 24th shloka, Ya uddharetkaram raja praja dharmeshva shikshayan prajanam shamalam bhunkte bhagam chasvam jahati saha. Very important. Whoever levies taxes, meaning the king obviously, if the king levies taxes, ya uddharet karam is tax, raja, praja dharmeshu ashikshayan, and does not provide the knowledge of dharma, then all the sins of the praja, raja will get, and his merit will also get destroyed. See that? Bhagam cha swam jahati saha. He will get the papa that praja is doing, he will become responsible for it, he will have to face it, and his merit also will go away. Such a powerful, important lesson this is, that the job of the king is to ensure that the praja is not just giving taxes, but the praja knows what is dharma. This is our country, where the king ensures that the knowledge of dharma is there in the masses, and they will, it is their duty, it is said here. And today, unfortunately, in the name of pseudo-secularism, we have brought in this religion has nothing to do with state. State has nothing to do with religion. In paper, one has said that, and selectively one applies it. Where one wants to appease the minority, one wants to go on, denying the majority and even being absolutely unfair on the majority, they will apply this secular. And the entire politics and everything is based on religion only. Voting, this, that, the vote share and the vote bank is all based on religion. And so many other places, so many unfair things they happen. If the government has to be secular, it has to be secular for everything. And over so many decades we are talking about. I'm not specifically saying about one government. This is our culture, where the Raja used to ensure that the Gurukuls are funded properly, temples are taken care of, and there's a mutual, beautiful relationship. If the treasury does not have money, the temples used to support the Raja to take care of the Praja. And when there is enough taxes and treasury is also proper, then the Raja will support the temple. So there was a beautiful relationship between the Raja and the temple and the Praja, all three coming together for the well-being of the entire country, education-wise, skill development-wise, employment-wise, taking care of the poor, so many things. It is the duty of the Raja to ensure that Praja knows what is Dharma. The duty of Raja doesn't end by just taking the taxes and just providing employment. That he said earlier, that employment I should provide. But what is the use of that employment if it is denying God, if it is not following Dharma, Shastra Jnana is not there, and the knowledge of Ishvara is not there, and devotion to Bhagwan is not there? then ego is going to rule the roost, which is what happens. In the name of science, in the name of being rational, in the name of being modern, being liberal, reject God, deny religion, denounce the scriptures, then what will happen? I, me, and mine. Then we have all kinds of family conflicts also, relationship issues, loneliness, mental health challenges, depression, stress, worries, tensions, anxieties, bound to happen. Because where the mind is to be anchored, there it is not anchored. The whole goal of life becomes enjoyment, my life, my rules, I will do what I feel like. I don't believe in this morality imposed by so-called our ancestors. One takes that line of thinking. Then what will happen? All this confusion that we see in the society, that is what will happen. So Raja says it is the Raja Prthu says it's the duty of the king to ensure that the knowledge of Dharma is given in the society to the masses. And what should be that Dharma? That which will please Bhagavan, that which is in the interest of everybody. It cannot be, obviously our Dharma doesn't anyway say that. And wherever there is evil that is being done, adharma, it has to be punished. People who are doing adharma cannot get away, and people who are following dharma, they can't be made to feel that you are irrelevant, you are outdated, and we cannot support you on anything. How sad is that? And then one will say we have crisis of values in the world today, and we must bring back the values. There is a degradation of the value systems, and integrity is lacking and corruption is increasing. All that will happen. Those are symptoms of the deeper disease. So what a line this is. Ya uddharet karam raja praja dharmeshu ashikshayan. He is not educating the praja about dharma. And somebody may say, what the duty of the Raja is not to educate the Praja. Duty of Raja is to protect. Duty of Raja may not be directly to educate the Praja, but the purpose is of saying this is those who are eligible to educate, those must be empowered by the state. Brahmanas, the Gurukuls, the universities, the schools, the colleges, they must be empowered properly to give the knowledge of dharma, which is in one meaning duties, which is in one meaning values, and in one meaning also the deeper aspect of religion, which speaks about oneness of Jiva Jagat Ishvara, which gives a more deeper understanding of how this personality works, what are the laws in this world, who is the creator, what is their connection. If that is not taught, then what are we teaching? Information that a computer has better than us. It's a matter of time. The robots will do everything. We will become irrelevant. So the point is this, that the Raja has to have that as a duty. One cannot shirk. And at least the scripture here is saying very clearly that Raja who does not do this, whatever wrong that the Praja does, that will come to the Raja. The sin will come to the Raja. And Raja's own merit will get destroyed. See, that is so powerful here. Then he says, Tat praja bhartr pindartham swarthamevana suyavaha kuruta dhekshaja dhiyaha tarhi menu graha kritaha. So he says that free from a carping spirit, with your mind fixed on Lord Vishnu. Therefore, O my beloved subjects, do your own duty for the good in the other world of your ruler. For therein lies your interest, and thereby you will have done a great favor to me. See that? He says, if you do this, then I will be benefited also. That whatever duties you have, do it without asuya. Asuya means fault finding. For everything, one does not have to keep on finding fault with the Raja. One should understand the spirit, the intention, think objectively, then do one's duties and do what is in the interest of the country. And do it for pleasing whom? See, very clearly he says here that with your mind fixed on the Lord Vishnu, meaning on the divine. You are not doing it to just please the Raja. So Raja is not doing things just to please the Praja. Praja is not doing things to please Raja. Both of them are doing to please Bhagwan. See the beauty here. If both are doing to please Bhagwan, both will be objective. But if both or either are doing for their own selfish interest, simple, beautiful program, Har Ghar Tiranga. We can hoist the flag 13th to 15th August. And the Prime Minister has appealed also to us to put the DP as the Indian flag. The bhav is we are celebrating 75 years of India's freedom. It's a small move, but it invokes patriotism. And one can easily do it. But there, so many people will have some complaints. So who is the government to tell us anything like this? Why should they impose this on us? Unnecessary thought process. It is voluntarily to be done for paying our small tribute to such a great motherland of ours and being proud of being born in Bharat. What a vast legacy of knowledge and spiritual heritage and great saints, sages, masters. So much development has happened in this country. Few years, yes, we were attacked and we went as though we went down, but we will bounce back. Already we are bouncing back. So much today the world is benefiting from us. India is the pharmacy of the world. Now we are also exporting so much of food to so many countries, and they are depending on the aid and the food that goes from here. So many different things. India is progressing so well. Across the whole world, there is no better satellite launching pad than Sriharikota. So many satellites of so many countries we launched from our country here. So one is progressing, one has to feel that bhav and one has to be very proud. And yes, whatever are challenges, we will work together, overcome them. There's no question of denying any of the weaknesses that we have, we will overcome. But for that, we have to be together, work together. That spirit is important. See here, this is what the Raja is saying. If you do this duty, keeping in mind Bhagwan Vishnu, and you live by Dharma, it will help me. So the Praja's actions will influence the Raja, Raja's actions will influence Praja, their karma is connected. Huh? Please remember, this Raja Praja also is a karma. Karma is not only between our relationships and our family, even between Raja and Praja, between the country where we are born and us, there is a debt we have. Whether we believe or not, it's a fact. And one has to repay that debt, one has to do one's duties. So he says here, you do this, it will help me. One, do your own duty for the good in the other world of your ruler. And therein lies your own interest also. Because if the ruler is secure and safe that yes, Praja is following Dharma, so I am taken care of, then the ruler also will do good to the Praja. That he anyway said before that he has to do as a king. See the beautiful mutual relationship, which is what one should develop. Only that country will progress well. And does not mean that the Praja cannot be critical. I said in the beginning only that Raja is explaining that this is my duty, so that Praja can question. Our culture never says that you can never question the state. One can. And there are many mistakes that earlier rulers may have made. Like see, in this case it is Raja Vena. Now that Vena Raja was living in such a indulgent way, and not following any dharma, and he was causing trouble to everybody. There was anarchy, there was all these thieves and everyone who returned after Raja Ven died. So it is not that whatever the king does unquestionably has to be accepted. No, no. Praja can question also. Praja can remove that. Brahmanas, they removed that Vena. They killed him. And then they installed Raja Prthu. They invoked and they installed Raja Prthu as the king. So this is the relationship between the Raja and the Praja here. So then he says, again he prays. He says, Yuyam tadanu modadhvam Pitru devar shayo malaha kartu shastur anugnatuhu tulyam yat pretya tat phalam. This is 26th. He says, kindly lend your hearty support to this prayer of mine, O pure-hearted mains, gods, sages, for the fruit which accrues hereafter to the doer, the instructor, the countenancer is just the same. So he says, please listen to this prayer and give support to this prayer. Why? Because what karma comes to the three. So he says here, Kartuhu, Shastuhu, Anugnatuhu. The doer, the ruler, and whoever has followed the Shastra and Dharma, to all of them, this result will come. Meaning, even to you, the sages and the Pitrus and the gods, to all of you also this result will come. So help me to do this. Oh, why it will come to all of them? Sages, it will come because they are supposed to be the protectors of, the educators of Dharma. It will come to Devatas because Devatas are the presiding phenomenal forces in the universe and presiding deities of our body, mind and intellect. And Pitrus, because how Pitrus have lived, looking at them only the others will follow. They are the role models. Especially children will learn from parents first, how they see the parents living, behaving. They imbibe values directly from their behavior. So if the praja is not living in a dharmic way, it will affect not only the king, it will affect all these devatas, pitrus, the seekers, to the sages, all of them, they will all be affected. Pitru devarshayo amalaha. Then he says, now coming to God. Asti yajnapatir nama keshanchid arhasattamaha iha mutra cha lakshante jyotsna vatya kvachid bhuvaha. So there are some people who believe that there is a Yajnapati, meaning there is God. Yajnapatir nama asti. There is a God, and what does that God do? Karma phala. He is the karma phala data, both here and hereafter. He gives the results of fruits here also and hereafter also. And in some rare cases, places of enjoyment as well as bodies which are endowed with uncommon brilliance also are provided by Bhagavan to the appropriate jivas as per their merits. The person goes to higher worlds and gets appropriate bodies, and some extraordinary types of yonis also one may get. Then he says that in the opinion of Swayambhu Manu, Uttanapad, Dhruva, Priyavrata, my grandfather Anga, of Brahmaji, of Lord Shiva, and even the Asuras, the king of Asuras, there is Prahlada and Bali, and others like those who enumerated above, one has to do with this understanding that there is Bhagavan who exists and there is Narayana. So even Asuras believe, even Devatas, even human beings, all believe in existence of God. Nobody denies existence of God. Asuras also pray to Bhagavan only. They may have conflict with the devatas, they may want more power, they may even deny God when their ego comes up. Those are phases that certain asuras go through. But as a yoni, asuras believe in God. So here you see, he says all of them, they believe in Bhagavan Narayana, the sole independent means of securing three objects of life, Kama, Artha, Kama, Dharma, and even Moksha. So no matter what one seeks in life, Artha, Kama, Dharma, and Moksha, it's not only for Moksha that one has to believe in Bhagavan. Even to live Dharma, one has to believe in Bhagavan. Because Bhagavan is the one who is the very nature of Dharma is Bhagavan. One of the name of Bhagavan Vishnu is Dharma. Dharmo Dharma Viduttamaha. He is not only Dharma, he is the best knower of Dharma also. And he only inspires us to live Dharma, makes us aware of what is Dharma, gives us the strength to live it uncompromisingly. And as per that, he also gives the karma phala. So very important is that point to understand that it is not only for the sake of moksha and for dharma that we need to believe in Bhagavan. Even for artha and kama. Why? Because that artha and kama must be based on dharma and it should prepare me towards moksha. That's the scheme of evolution. If we separate artha and kama from dharma, that's where we land up in all trouble. Then obviously we are not even preparing ourselves for mukti, we are going down. In evolution, we are not moving upward, we are devolving instead of evolving. So that's why he says here that for all the three objects of human pursuit, as well as heavenly bliss and even final beatitude. So artha, kama and dharma here, swarga hereafter, and also for ultimate mukti, kaivalya mukti. For all it is important to have this understanding of Bhagavan. And of course do the action dedicated to that Lord. So he says most of them have believed, the only dissenters being my father Vena and a few others who were deluded in the matter of righteousness and therefore deserve to be pitied. One has to be pitied, Kere, he doesn't believe in Bhagavan. This is, imagine the society at that time, how dharmic it would be that the society believes in Bhagavan with clarity, and so many of them have had even darshan of Bhagavan, all of them, like Prahlad and Bali, and all of them have had darshan of Bhagavan. Dhruva himself had darshan of Bhagavan. You know, Uttanapad, he went, Swayambhu Manu has had darshan of Bhagavan. Each of them. So he says, so it's not some hearsay that they are believing. They have trusted the word of, like Dhruva trusted the word of Naradji, and he practiced and he had darshan. So believing in the Vedas, believing in the great saints and sages, one has done the sadhanas and one has experienced that darshan of Bhagavan also. So it's not some hearsay that they are believing that does God exist or not, and then some logical so-called argument, and then to say no, God does not exist, and the creation of some human concept. God is only a concept created by human beings. So that one has to be clear that these are people who were having darshan, and these great kings, they also ensure that their praja will follow. Now somebody says, oh, praja, I mean, we can tell this to the praja, but if the praja doesn't follow, then the king will still get the negative karma. King's duty king has done, and done it dedicating it to Bhagavan, and does not spare an effort to keep doing his duty to tell people about what is dharma. After that, if the praja doesn't follow, that is not the king's, it will not affect the king. If the king is not doing the duty and then praja is behaving the way they want to behave, then obviously the king is at fault and the karma will come to the king also. So this is the dharmic society, and in the dharmic society, it is not blindly dharmic society. People have had darshan of Bhagavan, people have followed values, people have lived in a righteous way. They have understood what it is to have darshan of Bhagwan, what it is to live in the higher states of existence, what it is to go to even the places like heaven, and what is the limitation of those places. All that the scriptures explain. And we cannot dismiss it just by saying, who has seen all this? I have not seen heaven and hell, so it does not exist. What have you seen in life that you say that everything only you see, you believe? Our eyes have so many limitations. And to say that I believe only what I see, then I am not living up to human potential also. I am living like an animal, because animal is one who believes what he sees, what it sees. It doesn't believe what it does not see, does not exist for it. And why am I reducing myself to animal level? So this is a society where atheism was not glorified. Theism was glorified. Atheism, one is to pity these people. Being born as a human, can't apply the buddhi. Not that questioning should not be there, or one should not say, why does God exist and all that. One can question, but go to the valid means, a valid source of knowledge. Read those books first and then come to proper understanding whether God exists or not. That which is a subjective, infinite reality, consciousness, which is all pervasive, which is beyond the realm of body, mind, intellect. What is the valid praman for that? Is the Shastra, Shabda praman. There is no other valid means of knowledge to know Brahman. Science and all cannot work. That's why our Upanishad say, Naisha Tarkena Matirapaneya. This cannot be understood by logic. And we use science to disprove God as a very limited approach. And then we glorify this in the name of science and being rational. And then if we say that all religions are saying the same thing, then that is another myth. All religions are not saying the same thing. Oh, that's why open the books and read what each religion is saying, one will understand. So dharmic society is based on, we are talking about the Sanatana Dharma here, and the scriptures. There's a long tradition of the scriptures, and the great saints and sages, devotees, Mahatmas, they are the proof of what scripture says is true. And so many are historical characters also, historical people, not just some stories are cooked up. Even the Vedas, there are so many historical people who are described in the Vedas. Lineages are there available of all of them. So one has to have that understanding and that deeper clarity. So this is where he is, that the Raja, when he has ensured all this, then in the society also there is dharma. And those who are not following dharma and living on their own whims and fancies, and denying the existence of the Lord, and says, Artha Kama Dharma I can attain on my own. Artha and Kama I will attain, Dharma I don't need, Moksha so there is nothing called moksha. Why? Because there is no God at all. Then Raja Prthu says such people have to be pitied. They don't have to be glorified, they have to be pitied. So having said that, he says here about Bhagwan now. Like the sacred stream, the Ganga that has flowed from his great toe, the pious and the ever-increasing relish one finds in adoring his feet, immediately wipes out the impurity of the mind of those afflicted by the trials and tribulations of mundane existence, accumulated in the course of previous births. So when one worships Bhagwan, the mind becomes pure. So many karmas of the past and the wrong ways of living, thinking, they get washed out. What person starts transforming. And those who, through this, worship of Bhagwan, through one's actions, one's mind will become purified. Then one will surrender completely to that Lord. The man who has taken shelter in his soles of his feet is completely rid of all impurities of the mind. That complete surrender will ensure that one is rid of all these impurities. and one will get vairagya and one will get atmajnana. Never will one again come back to this miserable abode of sorrow, that is samsara. So, having said this, so the point is what? The king here is leading the praja through dharma to mukti. That is the job of the king. It's not simply levy taxes and collect and then do some development and infrastructure. That is one aspect only. But to establish righteousness is the main purpose of the king, to punish the evildoers, to ensure that people follow dharma and they are devoted to the supreme. Very important. So that's where he says that these are all the things that are very important and the king should do this. Then, confident of achieving the goal according to your individual merits and free from hypocrisy, worship him alone. This is the summary he is giving to the praja. He told his duties. Then he's saying the praja that you must follow so that I will also benefit. Now he's specifically telling the praja, Tameva yunam bhajatam atmavrittibhihi mano vachakaya gunaisva karmabhihi amayina kamadugangri pankajam yathadhikara vasitartha siddhayaha. So he says that confident of achieving the goal of your individual merits and free from hypocrisy, worship him alone. The Raja is telling the Praja, worship the Lord alone, whose lotus feet are capable of yielding whatever you desire. Bhagavan will bless you with what you desire, artha, kama, dharma, whatever you want. With the functions of your mind, speech and body and by your own duties, worship the Lord in all these ways. Don't say that only my duties I am doing, so I am a very devout dharmic person. That is only one aspect. With mind, with speech and with body, I have to worship. Kaya vang mana karyam uttamam. Pujanam japas chintanam kramat. All the ways. With the mind, have bhavana for Bhagwan. With the speech, glorify Bhagwan. With the body, serve the Lord. And then also do the duties. Very clearly he says, all the four. Then that is called wholehearted worship of Bhagwan. And he goes on to glorify Bhagwan a little more. A compact mass of pure consciousness and attributeless in essence. So he clarifies that also. He's not saying one particular form only has to be worshipped. He says, who is that Lord? He's the infinite consciousness. A compact mass of pure consciousness and attributeless in essence. He, the Supreme Person, manifests himself in the path of the ritual. See, for us, ritual is not just some blind mechanical ritual. It is a means to connect to the divine. And Bhagwan himself is that yajna also. Aham kraturaham yajna swadaham aham aushadham mantroham aham evajyam aham agniraham hutam. In the Gita, Bhagwan says that I am the ritual also. I am the offering. I am the fire. I am the ladle. I am everything. So he says that Supreme Lord is manifesting even as the ritual in the form of a sacrifice, possessed of many attributes, which is accomplished with the help of diverse substances. So what all one offers, this clarified butter and till and rice and barley and all that. Then qualities of things and actions, as well as through the purpose to which the various rites are directed, the intentions with which a sacrifice is undertaken, the distinctive virtues of things and appellation by which a sacrifice is known. All these ritualistic aspects are also connected to the divine. Some may be done with certain desires, sakama, some will be done to express devotion and gain the purity of mind and please the Lord. But either ways, it is Bhagwan who is manifesting. So with that reverential attitude one does. The attributeless is manifesting in the form of a fire and taking the ahutis just to bless. Then he says, even as fire manifested through various pieces of wood appears endowed with their peculiarities. So fire by itself has no form. But suppose the wood, so one wood is tall, one wood is very, very thick. One wood has been cut into, let us say, small pieces. So all these different shapes of the wood, the fire will as though take up those shapes. Rather than, so the fire by itself being formless will appear to have taken up these shapes. So that is what the example he gives. So does the all-pervading Lord, manifesting himself through the medium of the intellect in the body of an individual, the time spirit, the latent desires and destiny appear as the fruit of various religious rites as well. So Bhagavan only manifests in our buddhi, Bhagavan manifests as time, and Bhagavan only manifests as our destiny also. And it will, all the rites, rituals, everything. So the entire ritual plus all our duties, actions, everything one does as a dedication to that Supreme Lord. So he says, those of my subjects on the surface of this globe who with a firm resolve incessantly worship through the performance of their duty Sri Hari, the preceptor of the universe and the Supreme Lord of all those who receive a share in the sacrificial offerings, do me a favor. So he says, if you do your duty dedicated to the Lord, you are doing me a favor. Now, who can say this? Only when in the beginning of the chapter we saw how the Praja loves him, reveres him, adores him. Then the king also is saying that when you do duties dedicated to Bhagavan, do your dharma, you will do a favor to me. When there's a bond of love between Raja and Praja, then the Raja makes this appeal. And for whom is this appeal actually? Is it really for the Raja? Raja here is Prthu Raja. He is himself avatar of Bhagavan. He doesn't need. But he is doing it for the Praja. It is the Praja who is most important. For their well-being, he is saying, you do me a favor. Actually, there is no favor for the Raja. Praja only will benefit maximum in this. So, with a loving way to say this to the Praja. Instead of giving a commandment saying you follow dharma. If you don't follow dharma, I will punish you. You better follow dharma for your good. I am telling this to you as a king. Nobody will follow. He is making a loving appeal saying you do this for my benefit. So this is a way to put it also. How they put it to the Praja is very beautiful. Then he says that this Kshatriyas, Kshatriyas have a lot of power. And that power has to be used to protect Dharma. We saw that earlier. So he says that may the luster of emanating from the ruling class, the Kshatriyas, through their great affluence and power, never overpower the Brahmana race and the votaries of the invincible Lord Vishnu, shining brightly through sheer forbearance, austerity and adoration, meaning those who are knowers of Brahman and those who are bhaktas of the Lord, the Kshatriya should be devoted to them. And if obviously Raja is devoted, Praja also will be devoted, meaning the enlightened masters and beings who are living in austerity is said here, austerity, forbearance, adoration, they are held in the highest regard in the society because that is something what they have achieved is the goal that rest of them have to achieve. Please remember, it's not by birth, it is by realization. That person may be Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra, whoever that person may be. We saw earlier Dhruva has realized Bhagavan. So it is not that realization is domain of only some people who are born in the Brahmana Kula. People who are following the spiritual path, who have surrendered the ego, who have experienced the divinity, they are called the realized beings here. Brahmana here means Brahmani Charatiti Brahmana. And Bhaktas of the Lord, Ananya Bhaktas of the Lord. Here it is said, such people, one step ahead also he goes here, and he says that even Bhagwan Vishnu attained Lakshmi because he worships the feet of Brahmanas. Meaning, Bhagwan, to glorify the Bhakta, says, I am a servant of the Bhakta. It's not that, and Bhakta never accepts. We saw that earlier in Bhagavatam. Bhakta will never accept that Bhagwan is, Bhakta is greater than Bhagwan. Then that person is not a Bhakta. Bhagwan is always greater. Bhagwan, out of his compassion and his love, he may say that I am a servant of my Ananya Bhaktas and I run behind Ananya Bhakta, and the dust of that Ananya Bhakta I apply on my head. All that is to glorify bhakti and ensure that the people are able to get maximum satsang of the bhakta, so that they will also come to realize oneness and they will be freed from ocean of sorrows and the samsara. So here he says that even Bhagwan Vishnu got Lakshmi only because he serves the feet of Brahmanas. Please understand the context behind it. Don't simply read that and say, how can you say that, Bhagwan is the supreme and this is an insult of the Lord. The purpose is different. The scriptures have different ways to put certain things. We have to understand that. So he says here, following as you do the righteous conduct of the Lord, pray, adore in all humility with your entire being the Brahmana race, by serving whom that independent Lord is supremely pleased. So the service of Brahmanas is to please Bhagavan. Why? Because Brahmanas are those who will not only who live this knowledge, who have experienced oneness, but they share this knowledge with others very selflessly. And the people get knowledge of Dharma and ultimately they become purified. They attain mukti also through that. So then some of the points are given here of the glory of such Brahmanas who are enlightened. That even the ahutis that are offered in the fire, Bhagwan takes those ahutis when they are offered by a noble Brahmana. Then he says that equipped with these qualities, you see, with reverence, austerity, commendable conduct, chariness of speech, self-control, concentration of the mind, all these are qualities. So please remember, this is not by birth. This is by guna. The Brahmanas ever retain in their memory with a view to discovering the truth, the pure and eternal Vedas. These are the qualities. They are not interested in their propagation and they are not saying that you worship me, I am the Brahmana, I am the supreme of all the four castes. That person is not a Brahmana then. What is revered in their mind? Truth is revered, and the power of the Vedas and their surrender is to that Bhagavan. They have committed to living the Shastra and teaching the Shastra, and in whom the universe can be seen clearly as in a mirror. Meaning a Brahmana's mind must be so pure. Such Brahmanas are being referred. So he says that, oh Brahmanas, let me constantly carry the dust of your lotus feet on my crown all my life, for the sins will then get destroyed and virtues will become stronger. So he's telling the Praja that may I always revere the Brahmanas and may the dust of their lotus feet ever be on my crown. Meaning, if Raja is revering Brahmanas with this bhav, Praja also will revere. And that is one of the reasons why of the four ashrams, sannyas ashram is considered the highest, because that is the means to realize the truth. And each one must come to that state. Everyone must prepare to finally do the duty dedicating to Bhagavan, purify the mind, and ultimately drop the ego. For that, one has to take that sannyas. Sannyas means that actually dropping doership, dropping enjoyership, dedicating oneself to Bhagavan and to service of the society, looking at them as Bhagavan. So that is, if the society reveres that, then the whole society is geared towards that higher purpose. Otherwise, artha and kama become the main goal of life. There will be a lot of adharma then. So this is for the praja. The riches of every kind as a matter of course woo him who is an abode of excellences, rich in moral character, full of gratitude and devoted to the elders. Therefore, may the Brahmana race and the bovine species as well as Lord Janardana and his servants be gracious to me. Now this is important. Prasidatam Brahmakulam Gavamcha Janardana Sa Nucharascha Mahyam. See, the king is saying that to the praja, that these four be pleased with me, meaning may I serve them. Who Prasidatam Brahmakulam. Brahmakulam, those who are born in the Kula of Brahma, meaning who are knowers of Brahma. They may be born anywhere. Brahmakula means the one who are knowers of Brahman. Oh, then how can it be Kula? It is a Kula. It is a family of the knowers of Brahman. Why? Because that Guru is the spiritual father of that disciple. That is called Nada Santati. There is one Bindu Santati. Bindu Santati means the physical bond of the father, mother, and the child. Because the father and mother, through their concept, through their mating, the child is born. That is through the Bindu, the drop. But Nada Santati is where the Guru initiates the disciple through the mantra. That Guru becomes the spiritual father of the disciple. And it is only through Guru that the Brahma Vidya can be experienced. There is no other method. And so every disciple who has realized is in that Brahma Kula. That's why it is one lineage. Though they may be from any background, anywhere, physically they may not be obviously connected, but they are connected spiritually. And that is a Guru Shishya Parampara. So Brahma Kulam. So may such enlightened masters and their entire Kula Parampara be gracious to me. Then Gavam, the cow. See, for us, cow is not just an animal. And people, they raise all kinds of so-called logical points saying that, just as we can eat any other animal, why can't we eat cow? For us, cow, and okay, agricultural country, India is agricultural country, so we will not eat cow. Is that the only logic? No. That is one reasoning. For us, cow is very sacred because all the devatas reside in the cow. For us, cow is the symbol of maximum sattva guna. For us, the cow is the symbol of Mother Earth. How many times Mother Earth has taken the cow? So killing the cow also means destroying Mother Earth. Killing the cow also means destroying the values that we revere. The cow takes the grass and gives the milk. And the milk that calf takes is little, but the milk is for the rest of them. How much milk it keeps producing? It takes bare minimum from the society, gives maximum to the society. The urine of the cow, the dung of the cow, the milk of the cow, all that is used by the society. Those values we cherish. And obviously, it's a very sattvic animal, builds such a beautiful bond. Many animals, they are so loving, caring, one builds a beautiful bond, specifically in the cow, because sattva guna is very high. So one has to understand why we revere, and we say that all the devatas are residing in the cow. And earlier the wealth also was measured in terms of the cattle and the cows. So the king says, may the grace of the cows be with me, meaning the king will protect. How sad in this country today, we are one of the largest exporters of beef. To what level have we fallen down to? Here the king is praying that may the grace of the Brahmakula, the enlightened beings be on me, grace of the cows be on me, because we don't see cow as an animal, we see cow as our mother. See, the king is praying that may the grace of the cow be on me. People who don't understand the feeling, the sentiment behind it, they will say, what a stupid prayer. The king is praying for grace of cow. How will cow bless the king? Cow is animal, king is human being. What nonsense is all this? Because they have no idea what is our bhav, what is our culture. So, Brahmakulam, then Gavamcha, Janardanaha, and Bhagwan, Lord Vishnu himself, may the Supreme Lord be gracious to me, Sanucharascha, and all his devotees. Meaning, if Bhakta, Bhagwan, cow, and the realized beings, if they are gracious to me, my life is blessed. And a king, when he takes care of these, he will ensure that Brahma Vidya spreads everywhere. Divine qualities of selflessness, sacrifice, service are encouraged everywhere. The means of liberation, that is Bhagwan, and as well as getting Artha Kama Moksha, Artha Kama and Dharma, what was said earlier, that the government and the state and the king ensure that devotion gets maximum encouragement. And the bhaktas, so the seekers, the people who are following this path, they are encouraged. Is this not the way to even protect the society from adharma? Punishing of the adharmic people and the evildoers will come into question only when they are not following either of these, no? And how much can you punish people? Until their heart doesn't transform, how much can you control through mere laws and punishments? They will find some ways to circumvent it and keep doing what they want to do. These values only can really transform. And if the state is patronizing these values and ensuring that the praja is given opportunities to live this dharmic way of life, then the state is doing its duty. But if one does not do that, then to try and control and then to have law and order in place is very difficult, most challenging, that is, which we see happening or not everywhere. Then, so he concludes this. His Upadesh is concluded. Now, the king, as he spoke all this, Maitreya Rishi concludes this chapter. He says, the Pitrus, the Devatas, the Brahmanas, all the pious souls, they felt very greatly delighted at heart. They applauded him and they uttered these words of approbation. What did they say? The Vedic text that one attains to the higher worlds through a worthy son is quite true. For the king Vena, who was killed by the curse of the Brahmanas, has been able to cross over the hell through you. Meaning, Raja Prthu, being a very righteous, noble king, through his karmas, he has ensured that his father also gets across this hell. Even so, Hiranyakashipu was about to descend into hell as a consequence of his blaspheming the Lord, but escaped it through the piety of his virtuous son, Prahlada. O great hero, father of earth, may you live happily for numberless years, you who have such devotion to the immortal Lord, the one undisputed ruler of all the worlds. Having you for our ruler, O King of sacred renown, we look upon ourselves as under the protection of the Lord Mukunda today, since you reveal to us the stories of Lord Vishnu, the foremost of those enjoying excellent fame and a votary of the Brahmana race. So see, Brahmanas also are humble enough or not. They saying we all are servants of that Mukunda only. Though he has said that Bhagwan Vishnu got Lakshmi because of worship of Brahmanas, Brahmanas are saying nothing doing. Bhagwan alone is the supreme. and we all are under him. We are in a protection of Mukunda only. It is no great wonder on your part, O Lord, to instruct your dependents, for it is the nature of exalted souls possessed of a tender heart to love their subjects. See, after doing 99 Ashwamedha Yajnas, after finishing that 100th one, he comes back and he's addressing the Praja. It's not that, same thing this king is going to say again and again, why should we listen to him? None of that. They are listening happily, and this king also is saying very clearly, and they are appreciating that how much love the king has, that he is addressing the subjects. Robbed of our judgment by our own actions, going by the name of destiny, we had been wandering in the wilderness of transmigration. Today you have led us across the darkness of ignorance, O Lord. Hail to you, the most adorable person. Namo vivruddha sattvaya purushaya mahiyase yo brahma kshatramavishya bibhartidam swatejasa. This is the glory of Bhagwan only in the form of Prthu Raja. That you are the most adorable person, dominated by the quality of sattva, unmixed with rajas and tamas, who, inspiring the Brahmana race, protect the Kshatriya community and vice versa, and inspiring both, maintain the whole universe by the dint of your own energy. So this is where the chapter 21 concludes. Very beautiful discourse of Raja Prthu to his subjects. Any questions? Right. So, as I had said last class, now I will see once I go to Chinmay Vibhuti, if any classes I am able to do online from there, I will do. If not, we will meet in November. Yep, training is from 15th of August to October 31st, and after that I will take up. Let's do the Arati. You are able to see the Arati on the screen? Okay.
मंगल आरती प्रिया प्रीतम की, मंगल प्रीति रीति धूम की, मंगल कांति हसनी दसनन की, मंगल मुरली दीना धुन की, मंगल आरती। मंगल बनिक त्रिभंगी हरि की, मंगल सेवा सब सहचर की, मंगल सिर चंद्रिका मुकुट की, मंगल छवि नयन में अटकी, मंगल आरती। पभी अंग अंग की, मंगल गौर श्याम रंग की, मंगल अति कटि पियरे पट की, मंगल चितमणि नागर नट की, मंगल आरती। मंगल शोभा कमल नयन की, मंगल माधुरी मृदुल पैन की, मंगल वृंदावन मद अटकी, मंगल क्रीडन जमुना तट की, मंगल आरती। आरती। मंगल चरण अरुण तरुवन की, मंगल करणी भगति हरिजन की, मंगल जुगल प्रिया बावन की, मंगल श्री राधा जीवन की, मंगल आरती प्रिया प्रीतम की, मंगल प्रीति रीति गोविंद की, मंगल आरती मंगल आरती। राधावर कृष्णचंद्र भगवान की जय। ओम न तत्र सूर्यो भाति न चंद्र तारकम्, नेमा विद्युतो भान्ति कुतोऽयम् अग्निः, तमेव भान्तमनुभाति सर्वं, तस्य भासा सर्वमिदं विभाति। सद्गुरुनाथ महाराज की।
ओम पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते, पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते। ओम शांति शांति शांति। हरि ओम। श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः। हरि ओम।